Have you ever wondered what incredible journey your ancestors took? What ancient empires and forgotten tribes left their mark in your blood? Welcome to DNA Detective, the channel where we solve history's greatest mysteries using the ultimate clue, the human genome. The story of the Latino people seems straightforward. It's a story we've all been told. A story of collision, of Spanish galleons arriving on the shores of a new world, of conquistadors carrying the banner of the Catholic monarchs, meeting the great empires of the Americas. This collision created the mestizo, the mixed-race people who are the foundation of Latin America. European fathers, indigenous mothers. A simple, powerful, and often brutal story of conquest. But what if that story is a lie? What if the Spanish conquerors were not who they said they were? And what if, hidden in the DNA of millions of Latinos today, is the evidence of a breathtaking secret? A secret 500 years old, born from one of the darkest chapters in European history. Get this. In the veins of up to a quarter of all Latinos and Hispanics flows the blood of a ghost population. Their genetic code contains a marker that, according to the official history books, simply should not be there. It's the signature of an ancient people from the Middle East and North Africa. Everyone believes the story of Catholic conquistadors, but their descendants' DNA tells a completely different story. Today, we're going to reveal it. This is not just a cold case. It's a 500-year-old conspiracy, and the DNA is our star witness. Let's establish the official story, the historical alibi. Who are Latinos and mestizos? They are the vibrant cultures born from the Spanish colonization of the Americas. From the Rio Grande to Tierra del Fuego, they are a people defined by a blend of Iberian Europe and the indigenous Americas. Their story begins in 1492. It's a year etched in history for two reasons. First, Columbus sails the ocean blue, kicking off the age of exploration and conquest. But the second event is just as crucial and far more sinister. Back in Spain, Queen Isabella and King Ferdinand complete the Reconquista, the centuries-long campaign to expel the Muslim Moors from the Iberian Peninsula. Having unified Spain under a single crown, then they seek to unify it under a single faith, Catholicism. On March 31, 1492, then they sign the Alhambra Decree. Spain's Jewish population, the one of the oldest and most prosperous in Europe, is given an impossible choice: convert to Catholicism or be expelled. Hundreds of thousands flee. Many others convert, becoming known as conversos. A few years later, the Muslim population is given the same ultimatum. They become the Moriscos. This is the backdrop for the conquest. The men who boarded the ships for the New World were, by law and by doctrine, zealous old Christians. The Spanish crown went to great lengths to ensure the purity of the faith in its new colonies. The Spanish Inquisition, the brutal institution designed to hunt down heretics, even established tribunals in the Americas, in places like Mexico City and Lima, to enforce religious orthodoxy. Its primary targets? The secret Jews, or Judaizers, and secret Muslim. So the official story is sealed. The Spanish blood that mixed with indigenous blood in the Americas was exclusively and aggressively Catholic. There is no room in this narrative for Jews or Muslims. It was illegal for them to even travel to the colonies. But here's the kicker. The history books say one thing, but the blood says another. Who are we going to believe? Recent massive genetic studies have produced a shocking verdict. A study published in the prestigious journal Nature Communications examined the DNA of over 6,500 individuals from 5 Latin American countries. It found that nearly a quarter of them displayed genetic signatures associated with Sephardic Jews, North Africa, and the Eastern Mediterranean. This was not a fluke. It's a widespread pattern, a genetic echo of a lost world preserved in their cells. This is the central mystery of our investigation. How did the DNA of people forbidden from entering the New World become so deeply woven into the fabric of Latin America? Our thesis is this: the Spanish conquest of the Americas was not just an invasion, it was also an escape. Thousands of conversos and moriscos, living in constant fear of the Inquisition in Spain, saw the New World as their only hope. They hid their identities, falsified their documents, and boarded ships, blending in with the old Christian colonists. They engaged in a clandestine migration, a secret exodus. And the evidence of their journey is the smoking gun we find today in the Latino genome. Let's open the genetic case file. Our first clue lies in the Y chromosome. This is the piece of DNA passed down exclusively from father to son, tracing an unbroken paternal line back through the centuries. It's the ultimate surname. When we look at the paternal lines of mestizo populations, then we see exactly what history would predict. The dominant Y DNA haplogroups are of European origin. The most common is R1b, the quintessential Western European marker, carried by the Spanish and Portuguese colonists. And the original, indigenous American paternal lines, primarily haplogroup Q, are seen in much smaller frequencies. This paints a clear and often violent picture of the conquest. European men fathering children with local women. But when geneticists looked closer, they found something that did not fit. They found fingerprints that belonged to a different crime scene entirely. Let me introduce you to haplogroup EM81. This is the signature paternal lineage of the Berber people of North Africa. It's the genetic ghost of the Moors who ruled Spain for 700 years. While present in modern Spain at low levels, it appears consistently in Latino populations. But the real bombshell is haplogroup J and its two main branches, J1 and J2. These haplogroups originated in the Middle East. They are strongly associated with the descendants of ancient Semitic peoples, including Arabs and, crucially, Jewish populations. Genetic studies have found that specific sub-branches of haplogroup J are powerful indicators of Sephardic Jewish ancestry, and these markers are found all over Latin America. In Mexico, in Brazil, in Colombia, in Ecuador. They are the indelible ink of Jewish forefathers, men who outwardly were devout Catholics, but who carried a secret history in their very cells. These are not just isolated cases. The widespread presence of this ancestry suggests that the migration of conversos was not a trickle, but a significant stream of people who successfully integrated into colonial society. Think about the sheer audacity and desperation of these men. They crossed an ocean to escape the most terrifying religious police force in history, only to find the Inquisition followed them to the New World. They lived double lives, their survival depending on a perfect performance of Catholicism. Their children would be raised as Christians, with no knowledge of their family's true heritage. The secret was buried for 500 years. Buried everywhere except in the one place no one could erase it: their own DNA. Now, let's turn to our second piece of genetic evidence, the maternal lines. This is the story told by mitochondrial DNA, or mtDNA, which is passed down from a mother to all of her children, but only her daughters can pass it on. It's a direct, unbroken line to the founding mothers of a population. And when we analyze the mtDNA of Latinos, the story is turned on its head. It's a stunning reversal of the paternal story. The overwhelming majority of maternal lineages in mestizo populations are of indigenous American origin. We're talking 85 to 90%, or even higher in some regions. These are haplogroups A, B, C, and D, the signatures of the first peoples of the Americas. These are the genes of the Aztec, the Maya, the Inca, and the Taino. The European and African mtDNA haplogroups are present, but at much, much lower frequencies. The genetic data is crystal clear, and it confirms what the historical records suggest. The creation of the mestizo people was a story of European men having children with indigenous American women. It's a stark genetic portrait of the power dynamics of the conquest. But this maternal story adds a crucial layer to our investigation of the hidden ancestry. It shows us how the secret was kept so effectively. The Converso and Morisco fathers passed on their Middle Eastern and North African Y DNA. Their children were then raised by indigenous or mestiza mothers within the Catholic colonial world. Within a single generation, that the children of a secret Jew from Spain and a Nahua woman from Mexico would be Spanish-speaking and Catholic mestizos. Their connection to Judaism would be severed. The family's history, their traditions, and their language, all of it would vanish. All that was left was the silent genetic marker, passed down from father to son, and its origin story completely forgotten. The indigenous mothers became the great keepers of American identity, while the paternal lines concealed a secret story of European religious strife. This genetic asymmetry is the very mechanism that allowed the ghosts of the Inquisition to hide in plain sight for centuries. So we have the paternal lines pointing to a hidden Middle Eastern and North African ancestry, and we have the maternal lines showing how that secret was absorbed into the New World. Now, let's synthesize the evidence. How does this genetic bombshell explain cultural phenomena that have puzzled historians for years? Suddenly, strange anomalies start to make sense. In isolated communities in New Mexico, northern Mexico, and even Brazil, families have been found who practice peculiar, seemingly Jewish customs without knowing why. Things like lighting candles on Friday night, or not eating pork, or covering mirrors when someone dies. They've done it for generations, thinking it was just a strange family quirk. DNA testing in these communities has often revealed high concentrations of Sephardic Jewish markers. These are not quirks. They are the faint, cultural echoes of a forgotten Jewish past, passed down through generations long after the meaning was lost. This genetic discovery does not just add a new branch to the Latino family tree. Well, it forces us to re-examine the entire narrative. The story of Latin America is not a simple binary of European colonizer versus indigenous colonized. It's far more complex and interesting. The verdict of this investigation is that the DNA of Latinos is a historical document of unparalleled honesty. It proves that among the colonists were not just conquerors, but also refugees. People fleeing the same Spanish crown that was subjugating the Americas. Jews and Muslims, forced to convert, found an unlikely and dangerous refuge in a new world. They became part of the colonial machine to survive, and their own stories of persecution erased as they participated in the colonization of another people. This hidden ancestry explains the unique resilience and syncretism of Latino culture. It's a culture born from multiple worlds colliding: the European, the indigenous, and African, and, as we now know, a secret Middle Eastern and North African world. This incredible genetic fusion created something entirely new. So, we return to our central question. Who are the Latino and Mestizo people? The answer is written in their blood. They are the descendants of conquerors and of the conquered. They are the children of European fathers and indigenous mothers. But they are also the heirs to a secret history of survival. They carry the legacy of Spanish knights, but also the ghost genetics of Sephardic scholars from Toledo and Berber horsemen from the Atlas Mountains. Their DNA is a tapestry woven with threads from every corner of the Old World and the New. It tells a story more complex, more tragic, and more fascinating than any history book. It proves that we are all mosaics, carrying the silent echoes of forgotten journeys and secret histories. DNA is the most honest chronicle of all. It remembers what we were forced to forget. What's the most surprising secret you've learned from your own DNA? Let us know in the comments below. And for more investigations into the history hidden in our genes, make sure to subscribe to DNA Detective and ring that bell. Let's solve the mystery of our roots together.